And last on the agenda, open meeting is 16-4-15, Chiropractic Advanced Practice Certification Registry. The changes all involve formulary changes. Entertain comments from the board.
I'll have a comment. I think, considering all the changes, we have to consider four things, in my opinion. One, what the New Mexico Medical Board had to say. Two, what the Pharmacy Board had to say. Three, what the boards and commissions or the Regulation License Department had to say this morning. And four, that in 1 year and 5 months, when the law changes, that the advanced practitioner person is going to be able to do anything they want to with a master's degree. And so I think that opens up anything to them.
They won't be able to do anything they want with a master's degree?
But they're going to be, they're going to be able to do what they want to do.
They'll be restricted to this formulary.
To this present formulary?
To whatever formulary is in existence at that time. Yes. They're still under our licensing. They're still restricted to our formulary. They're still, even though they've got a master's in clinical chiropractic, they'll still have a certification in advanced practice.
And
so
but
no change in their responsibilities or our oversight of them. They will not have any additional qualifications or authority.
So they're going to be restricted to the same formulas, formulary that they are right now, without any changes. If we do make any changes today, they'll be restricted to that same formulary after 2012.
Whatever formulary is in effect when they get their master's and apply for advanced practice certification, that's the formulary that they will be restricted to. They won't have any additional benefits, only additional educational requirements.
Well, I think we should adopt the formulary, except there are a few items, I think, that we should take out for a later day. Okay. Because obviously many of these are not objected to.
Right.
And Section B is what we're at.
Yeah, Section B. So Section B1, that's that cyclobenzaprine, please excuse my pronunciation. I understand that's approved and not objected to. And the objection is to 2, metaxalone.
Metaxalone, eliminate from the proposed formulary. Okay.
Right. And then on B2F.
Indomethacin.
I think that's an objective.
I agree.
Okay. Let's see.
My packet back.
Well, along those same lines, I suggest 3B, baclofen, be eliminated.
3, yes, that one was objected to.
F9.
Well, do we know which ones are approved and not approved by the Pharmacy Board and the Medical Board as we're going through these?
All these are not approved.
All of these are not approved?
They're not approved.
Yes.
But you're saying we should approve?
No, I said we don't approve certain ones that are not approved at this time.
Okay.
Pending further proceedings.
If they're not approved by the Medical Board and Pharmacy Board?
Unless they're under Schedule A.
Under Schedule A.
If they're under Schedule A, then I think we're free to approve them.
Okay.
Okay,
that's
backing up to
Baclofen?
D, well, I did baclofen, backing up to D5, GABA.
Yeah.
Strike that.
Prubicaine.
And then we're...
Vitamins are vitamins.
Vitamins are vitamins.
Well, I think the only problem with the vitamins, and I certainly don't object to the vitamins, think the pharmacy board has not approved them, but I don't agree with them, so.
I don't think they're gonna.
I don't think we're gonna do anything about that.
Do anything on a few
I think that
vitamin
clearly
things.
falls into Section A.
They're not
Yeah.
gonna do anything with Section A.
So I think they fall in Section A.
Let me ask
yeah.
that though,
Me too,
because I'll be the devil's advocate here. You said it clearly falls under A. What is your citation for that?
Where's your book?
My book?
Your big orange book.
The law?
I mean, the lady from the medical board clearly said they had no problem with anything under Section A.
Okay, it comes in, first of all, from Section A, the Certified Advanced Practice Chiropractic Physician may prescribe, administer, and dispense herbal medicines, homeopathics, over-the-counter vitamins. Da-da-da-da. Section B, the second section, or second sentence, a formulary for injection that includes the substances in Section A of this section that are within the scope of practice of the Certified Advanced Practice Chiropractic Physicians shall be developed and approved by the board.
Okay, but the pharmacy board, and again, I'm being the devil's advocate because based on past experience, you have been sued by the pharmacy board. So it's my obligation to at least talk through these issues. The pharmacy board thinks the mode of administration changes the ballgame. And that even if it's vitamins, if the mode of administration is done a certain way, it becomes a B, not an A.
Well, that was in B. That second sentence I read was in B. A formulary for injection that includes the substances in subsection A.
Yeah.
Vitamins are in subsection A.
But they consider
I understand,
the mode of administration converts B12 to a dangerous drug.
but it's still in section A, and this is still a formulary prepared for injection.
And again, they say the third sentence in B says dangerous drugs we need to approve, and we're willing to approve vitamins, but we want them limited somewhat in the form of injection.
And they've indicated their recommendations for the limitations here. Intramuscular injection of AQSA, subcutaneous or IM injection of ascorbic acid, vitamin C, D3 oral administration only.
Right, so is your formulary going to adopt their mode of
Certainly
administration?
the level of discussion we're at.
I would certainly take that under advisement, and I think we should, unless I hear some strong objection as to continued conversation. Are you recommending that? I don't do this, so I need those who are doing it.
I don't do it either.
Okay.
I'm just going through
Dr.
it.
Hesser,
So
you're
far, I've
doing
only
this,
gotten down to
so
the vitamins.
do you think that what the pharmacy board is recommending is acceptable at this time where we're at for this board?
I would, this is a reality, is that we're currently doing homeopathics as injectables anyway, which falls under Section A. And if you interpret dangerous drugs, that would fall under Section B. That's approved already, we're doing it.
Okay.
So there's already been a precedent set here, in my opinion, that injectable vitamins, or whether you do them topical, sublingual, or inject them, that's still under subsection A. So the reality is, we're already doing things that, if you look at, there's some ambiguity to it. I think the precedents have been set. There's been no objection currently to what the board has approved. The medical board said the last time we had the rule meeting that they didn't have any objections to the current formulary that we have currently. And even whenever they were trying to do new legislation, I was up there, and the medical board said they would not oppose any advances in that. I think where you get to the issue is if you're looking at pharmacological intervention with gabapentin, Neurontin, these different pharmaceutical agents, they want to be involved in that, and I agree 100% with that. As far as the nutraceuticals, I don't see where that's the major issue.
Well, if you look at this letter from the New Mexico Regulation and Licensing Department, Exhibit 28, which has the Board of Pharmacy's position, they go through and they mark down on the individual drug whether the pharmacy board has not approved it. So you get into vitamins on number 10, and there's no do not approve notation from the pharmacy board there. So I think that's fine. Because they have not objected on this document.
They're, in the parentheses, they're asking for specific modes of administration.
Are those modes of
Some of them are
administration
intramuscular.
appropriate and beneficial?
Some of these are injection though.
Yeah.
Yeah, these modes of administration are absolutely appropriate and beneficial.
The question I'm asking is that the formulary as proposed, I think would allow, I think there's 4 modes of administration, and that would allow any of the 4. What the pharmacy board appears to be saying is that on some of these vitamins, we'll let you do it 2 of the 4 ways or 1 of the 4 ways. And
Is that because they're a prescription?
No.
Well, like methylcobalamin, that's an injectable
B12.
vitamin,
Yeah.
B12.
Is that prescription?
That would be a prescription.
Now, do they allow it by
They say
IM?
IM. They say IM injection.
So that's okay.
Yeah.
So that would
See,
be
it's
okay.
very
I think
confusing.
approving the vitamins with the pharmacy board's qualifications for method of administration is appropriate.
You do?
They've got their methods of administration, seem to be pretty,
So what we're saying, they should have a say in the method of administration.
well, they've already had.
They already have it.
That's their document.
Which I guess becomes, do they have a say in the way that it's administered?
No, we can accept their
You
recommendation.
can accept their recommendations.
I'm not saying they have a say in
Well, the
Section 8
statute of
law.
law says they have a
No,
say about it.
they have a say in Section B.
Section B.
And
They
then-
have a
and then
say in
they're-
prescription drugs and the dangerous drugs.
They do not approve minerals or magnesium, like those natural substances in Schedule A,
Oh, yeah.
and there's no method of
And
administration.
Yeah, and I don't think they have that authority.
Well, yeah.
What we're saying, we're gonna test them and see if they ought to have the authority.
That may be.
Yeah.
I mean, another option is, as you read in the script, you could hold it over for a future meeting, leave the record open, and see if in the next month or 2 months or whenever your next meeting is, if the parties can, the proponents and the pharmacy board can reach an agreement. That way you have some assurance that they won't sue you.
I think that becomes the biggest threat of being sued.
Yes, I think that,
In some respects, that's what we need. We need a legal ruling, not an opinion.
Maybe that's the only way to get it.
I know.
one argument is that the RLD lawyer provided you an independent reading of it. And the other thing is that the acupuncture board has been down this road, and they've been in litigation for 2+ years, and some of the uncivil dialogue you saw today is a regular component of their practice now. And so, for those that are eager to get sued, you should know that you're signing on to a multi-year, very contentious litigation.
It'd be easier to try to strike a dialogue and get some approval from.
Dr. Hessler, let me ask you a question. Since you're doing, is there any limitation on there that is just unreasonable at this moment without 60 days of dialogue that you're already doing and have been doing? Like, for instance, minerals?
Well, I think what you get into is the route of administration. So, for example, let's just take methylcobalamin, okay, B12. It's, the pharmacy board, to me, says IM administration only. So does that mean you can't administer it orally?
Well, we can already administer it orally based on the
Based on
general
the law.
chiropractic law.
Right. Which the appropriate method would be to do an IM injection on that. So that's great. So now, you know, if you go down the rest of the list, you know, this says dextrose with additional board approval. Is that our board approval? Their board approval? Which board approval is that?
It says with additional board-approved education.
Education, right. So.
And that was written by Dr. Pearlstein, so. That's what I said.
And they didn't object to that. So, I mean, I think we could take a lot of the stuff that's on here and approve somewhat how it is, but also try to create a dialogue so we avoid a 2-year litigation process.
There's certainly some of those vitamins that in other jurisdictions are delivered IV.
Sure, absolutely.
And that's still something that has to be worked through with what coursework to take that's appropriate for certification. You know, in consensus with the medical board and the pharmacy board, or at least the pharmacy board. Certainly some of those vitamins, the oral only, they don't need to be on the list.
They don't even need to be on the
Right.
list.
So the ones that are IM, then we could approve them?
Yes.
As an
Yeah.
approved.
Yes.
And then, so what would you do with the IVs? Could you do a Myers cocktail?
We don't have any IV approvals at all at this point.
But what jurisdiction does that fall under? That's the question. Is that an A or is that a B? Because to me, if you're going to do an IMB12, you might as well do a Myers cocktail.
No, I think that the risks are different between IM and IV.
Well, there are some risks,
Yeah.
but we're saying you do the IV with Myers cocktail with additional board-approved training.
Right, and that part, I think the formulary committee still needs to work diligently with the pharmacy board and with the medical board to get
The correct number of hours, which course would be
which course,
approved.
and there's, you know, the other ones that are not contentious to the pharmacy board, the autologous blood, all those require additional training and board-approved education, and that would be both our responsibility and with consultation with the pharmacy board about
To come up with a board-approved.
what kinds of education is appropriate and where that education can be obtained.
I would agree with that.
So I would recommend here in the vitamin section, eliminate D, oral doesn't need to be on there. E, oral doesn't need to be on there. I, oral doesn't need to be on there. J, oral doesn't need to be on there. And K. So we have aqueous vitamin A by IM only, vitamin C sub-Q or IM, B12 sub-Q or IM, folic acid sub-Q or IM, B12 IM. I'm going to eliminate the words only because oral is certainly an option in both of those vitamin B12s and approved for all chiropractors. And then B1 IM. Recommending taking the word only out of each instance because I don't know if there is an oral aqueous vitamin A, but I don't want any confusion with the rules suggesting that they can't be done orally if they're appropriate.
Yeah, it creates a conflict.
Yeah, if it's IM only, then we've got a
Use some
problem.
spray vitamin.
But IM administration means IM administration, so that's approved. IM administration, sub-Q's not approved, IV's not approved. Okay, beyond the vitamin section, EDTA, discussions?
I don't think we can approve it.
What are you saying?
I don't think we can approve it.
No, I wouldn't.
So take out EDTA.
You want to hear the argument for EDTA?
The dextrose, that's,
The only argument I've heard from EDTA is that it's a synthetic amino acid. Amino acids are in Section A, and it's really in a real gray area, and I don't think that you know, we need to go that much into gray areas.
Well, in my experience of watching it for many, many years, it works sometimes and it doesn't work sometimes. And when it doesn't work, you don't get a result, you paid a whole lot of money. I don't see how that's protecting the public. Until it's more effective, I wouldn't recommend it, and I've had people ask me, I just say no. It's too hit or miss.
Appreciate it. Dr. Jones.
Mr. Chairman, also I...
Hold on. This is just the deliberations among
That's
the
right.
board.
That's all? Okay. We'll come to public comment at the end.
That's after we passed everything, though.
Huh?
That's after we passed everything.
Yeah.
Okay. The dextrose with
So we have to strike that.
struck EDTA.
Strike EDTA.
Struck
No, I'm
EDTA.
you're dextrose.
Dextrose
Dextrose?
doesn't have to worry.
It's not approved by the board, the
Where?
pharmacy board.
Dextrose with additional.
It doesn't say not approved.
It's not approved.
It just says with additional board-approved education.
Yeah.
So I think those are a pass.
Well, do we have to confer with the pharmacy board and the medical board?
Dextrose is a natural.
No, I mean, as far as the education.
Oh, I think we don't have to, but will we? Certainly. Certainly, I think we need to,
We can show them
By them.
what our education requirements is for administered dextrose.
have
Then
them
we can-
even
But
assist.
is that an
on-
IV?
No,
No.
no. Dextrose, you can use that as
Periarticular.
intra-articular injection.
Interarticular.
Like a
Periarticular,
prolotherapy.
intra-articular.
Didn't the medical board or the pharmacy board object to any articular injections in their letter to us?
I think the medical board stated
The
any injections.
medical board stated that as long it was even in a joint that they didn't approve it. I thought, I read that. That there needed to be more training to inject it into a joint.
There would have to be additional training for that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think the ones that are doing it have had the additional
It'd
training.
be the same training.
I don't think it has to be mandated. I think that's just logical. If you're gonna change your chiropractic technique, you're gonna have additional training to do it safely, or you're gonna answer to someone eventually.
It says with additional board-approved education.
So we've got to work with the board and improving the educational part of it.
We have to get a committee to develop the educational. Minerals, Dr. Hesser, you comment on that?
I wouldn't inject minerals subcutaneously burn like.
Would it be given orally then?
Yeah, you can do
We
orally.
can do them orally already.
They're doing that already. The only other way I could necessarily see you utilizing the minerals would be if you're going to use them in IV, which we're not currently doing.
I've got I can say ask Dr. Pearlstein.
No, he's had his chance to prove his record.
Okay. He's the next one. I put that there.
Well, he may have, but it was his job to build the record.
Okay. Got it.
So you have strike minerals.
Strike minerals.
And then that's one reason why you may want to keep the record open, is because one of the challenges that may come is the lack of substantial evidence. I think that's a frequent challenge. And there wasn't any, and I'll use the term broadly, medical exhibits submitted. When the acupuncture board did this before, they had reams of medical documents submitted, not only to prove that this falls under A, but that it's safe. And there was one gentleman that cited to a study about vitamins that in 27 years there's been no safety problems. As a lawyer, that's great, but I don't have it. I would love to have that as an exhibit, so if the case got challenged, I could go to a judge and say, here's why they did this, and here's their backing. So one reason to keep the record open, besides what we've talked about before, is that maybe some of these experts can provide these documents to bolster having some of these items on the list.
So that goes back to what the gentleman said this morning from the board, from the regulation board. We should probably table all this until we get it.
Keeping the record open.
Well, I'll be honest with you, there's two strategies. One, you could keep the record open and have a second rule hearing and allow those documents to come in. And also allow the parties to negotiate. That's one approach. Probably the longer approach would be, okay, let's pass a formulary today contingent on the two boards, other boards making their approval. That might take a while since I don't know how frequently these boards will take up your agenda item at their meeting. So the first approach that kind of the path you seem to be on is that you're going to pass a formulary and kind of hope that you've taken into account the medical boards and the pharmacy board's representations, even though you know that it has not, quote, been approved, unquote. And maybe that can be cleaned up later. And that's kind of, that's one of the calculations, I guess, today.
Can we have a third option of passing a formulary that is part of this and someone leaving another avenue open for extension to the next public hearing?
Yeah, I think that's an option on the table too.
What was that option?
Passing some of the items on the proposal and leaving others
Tabling the others?
open to continue at another public
I mean,
hearing.
we've gone through all of this. We should take whatever gains we have and move forward.
I think the message that we need to give is that we are willing to work with other
Exactly.
boards for the assurance that the public is safe.
Well, that's why we wouldn't adopt everything.
No,
We would
I
take
agree
some
with
out.
what you
Yeah.
just said entirely. Take the gains. We clearly have the ability to do what we've done over the last 3 or 4 years, and take the gains we can get today and keep on dialoguing. I mean, that's our job.
That makes sense.
Dialogue through being nicer, dialogue.
I don't mind rough dialogue, ever. And I think it's healthy, but I think that, you know, when I took Dan Murphy's course, my God, the guy's, he doesn't even look at a paper. He just stands there and talks, and he can quote everything by memory. Most of us are not capable of doing that, but we are capable of making intelligent decisions that protect the public. And I think that's what we're doing. And it being advised by people who've been doing it for many, many years in the medical profession, they've been around the block a time or two. I think they're also very open human beings that should be challenging any of their own assumptions. And that's Andrew Weil, and that's a lot of their colleagues in the medical profession. Deepak Chopra. Some of his science is crap, some of his science is great. But is he healing people? And the question is, we do need to keep challenging our preconceived notions. Some things don't work. And how do you just keep doing it because it's protocol? Or do you really challenge it and somebody's going to get their hand slapped when that happens? So, but you got to keep moving, hopefully peacefully.
We can go through to the next, I think the harder part of this autologous blood with additional medical board approved education.
Do we have that? In other words, in the group that's been working on this, are they saying, yes, it's approved, and we know exactly what medical board approval has been
No,
given?
it's not approved. It's not approved.
Okay.
And that approval word is from the other sentence.
Oh, okay.
Okay? Then back up to phenol.
Okay.
The autologous blood is recommended
Oh, I see.
with additional medical board approved education. Now, there is no pre-done medical board approved education planned, so if we approve that, or if we adopt that, it would be something in the formulary that is unusable until such
Right.
time as the medical board would approve an educational component that we would then concur with.
But they're saying that that's something they'd be willing to discuss.
I don't think that the medical board made that
Distinction.
distinction. but I think it's, you know,
But they
certainly
don't say do not
appropriate.
approve. There's certain
Right.
things they say do not approve, or not approved.
And I think, you know,
So
approving
that's
them, I don't
clear
think so.
in
I
big
don't
bold
think so.
type, but these other things, they just say with additional board-approved education.
So
I
our
think that's-
communication to our chiropractors is, we're working on this.
Yeah, we've
passed.
approved it, but the qualifications
So they can't
haven't
start
been
it tomorrow.
Can't
established.
start it till we have the
Exactly.
education in
As
place.
long as we're clear about our communication.
You can't start do it, you can't do it.
You have to do the
There's an
education
approved medical
component.
course for it, Which they're out there, you just have to make sure they're going to approve it.
And so that includes the autologous blood, the collagenase, the glucosamine, the glycerin.
Actually, yeah, let's go ahead.
Phenol, didn't it include phenol up there?
Well, phenol is kind of a
Section A.
little bit of ambiguity, because here it says with additional board approved, it doesn't say medical or pharmacy board.
Well, that's true, that is a distinction, they don't necessarily.
So when it's not a distinct board, it's the chiropractic board.
So-
That's right.
So I would
That's
say
right.
we would approve 19.
Yeah. But
I
again,
would say
it can't
we-
be used until we are presented with a proposal for additional education, and we have time to consider it, and, you know,
For the ones that they want medical board approval.
and the ones that want chiropractic board approval for the continuing
Yeah,
education.
we're going to get those requirements.
So we're gonna have dextrose is gonna be needed to have additional, you know, approval by us.
Right.
Phenol will have to have
Phenol
additional approval
by
by us.
Plasma rich, platelet-rich plasma.
Platelet-rich plasma,
By us.
another one by us. And I don't have any notation on the sodium morhote or sodium hyaluronate. Do you have any notation with those?
The sodium hyaluronic, which is like hyaluronic acid, I think that'd be fine. I mean,
But do we have additional training
you'd have to have additional training.
for both of those?
Joint, don't you?
Yes.
For
We're
both
not
of
allowed
those?
to do joint.
Why not?
I didn't think we were.
Yeah, we are.
How we do intramuscular.
No, you
You
can
can do any
joint.
injections, yeah.
As long as you
As long
have
as you've got the
training.
training. So those are both under the stipulation of additional board-approved education.
Now, the-
The sodium.
yes. Glutathione.
But that's already
It's already
approved.
approved.
Glutathione's already approved, yeah. That's already in there. Going to the chiropractic formula, additional educational requirements.
This is all new.
It's all new. So A certified advanced practice chiropractic physician shall be required to furnish proof of board-approved education upon request of the board for any item in the formulary that stipulates board-approved education. Additional to the certified advanced practice chiropractic physician education requirements. So that's sort of a backup to the annotation that those items need additional board-approved education. It requires that the doctor submit evidence of the board-approved education. I gotta take this, sorry. I'm still in that meeting, Casper, I'm going to have to call you back. So it's sort of a double check that we have to approve the education, and then the physician has to demonstrate that they've taken that course, that it complies with our approval, rather than just submitting a course saying, approve this, I just took it.
Right.
So it means the course has to be approved first, and then they have to take the course before they can do it, so it still makes, again, more time before any of those things can be done. And B, a certified advanced practice chiropractic physician shall be authorized to administer vitamins and or minerals by IV administration upon proof of completion of the board-approved program and IV therapy of not less than 10 hours.
I think that's a little,
That's light?
I think that's light.
I
Okay.
think it would be real light if it's a dangerous drug then, because we have the potential going into dangerous drugs.
Well, you know, again, primarily what you're gonna do by IV is administration of vitamins and minerals, so,
For saline for dehydration.
So what do you think, Elliot?
well, I think, like, I know that one of the, for example, E4M, they give an IV course. There's several other ones out there, but I think 10 hours is a little light. I think that should probably be closer to 25 hours.
Okay. And does, and, yeah, let's see, that's, and so then we also then need to review and approve the proposed courses that total that 25 hours. Change the 10 to 25? Certified advanced practice chiropractic physician shall be authorized to administer dextrose, phenol, autologous blood, and platelet-rich plasma via injection only upon proof of completion of a board-approved program in prolotherapy or its equivalent of not less than 25 hours. Does education in prolotherapy include autologous blood? Is that essentially plasma-rich protein, or?
Yes, and
Protein-rich
this is the thing,
plasma, or?
I know that they're given in blocks, so they might do lower extremity than upper extremity. So 25 hours might just get you one area of the body as opposed to upper and lower extremity, because you're going to do a shoulder versus an either different techniques, different landmarks, different things you're going to want to follow. I don't know that you can get everything you need in 25 hours for the whole body, depending on what joints you're going to do.
Is it on locus blood, don't you have to pull the plasma out, spin it, then put back in? So you're having to pull the blood out of the vein, which are we allowed to do?
Oh, yeah,
Sure.
that's already, every chiropractor's allowed to do that.
We could do that for diagnostic purposes only. Diagnostic purposes only.
I think that was also
We could
changed to.
so
I think it's
we're saying we're gonna
diagnostic and
pull it out of the
therapeutic.
blood, we're gonna separate the plasma, spin it and put it back in the muscle. So you're saying that any chiropractor can,
And pull the blood out.
Pull the blood
That's
out.
all. That's all they can do.
for diagnostic purposes only?
I think it's that.
The law states
I think they're-
diagnostic purposes only.
I think the word therapeutic has been added in that section. I don't know for sure.
I think we should,
But I
I think
don't-
we should know for sure.
Well, I don't think it's a big deal, because
Yeah, and if you're advanced practice.
So a regular
you're missing
chiropractor can't do
additional approval. Right.
plasma-rich proteins, or
Right.
protein-rich plasma, or whatever it is.
So with additional board approval, you'd be able to inject that back into the joint.
But what kind of hours would be best for qualification?
Well, most of those are usually 3 to 4 days, so 3 days, it's at least 30 hours, I would think. 24. I would think you would want to do at least minimum of 25 hours. And then you're going to have to limit that depending on the course. If it's only upper extremity, you limit it upper extremity until they do the lower extremity course. Does that make sense?
Yes,
So that
the
could be
board
50
would
hours.
have to have
So
a...
it could be 50
yeah,
hours as
The
long as
board
you
would
get-
have to qualify their certification in that... The board would
Right.
have to qualify their certification if they only did 25 hours, so let's just bump it to 50 and make sure that it's at least that. And still, we'd have the right to limit their authority to, if they've only studied upper body, then they can't do anything in the lower body. I mean, it's a lot of work,
Right.
but generally...
So I guess the question would be, if the first course was 30 hours, and you came back Monday morning wanting to practice, and you got approval by the board, but it's only upper extremity, you would tell them no until they went back and got additional, until they got 50 hours?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Amanda, we change that to 50?
Yes, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Okay, so we're talking about these educational requirements for the formulary that you said above, that's with additional board education approval, right?
Yes.
Are we going to, administrative purposes, say, section B for this one, section C for this one, or each one this has additional educational requirements, or is it going to be all of section 16.4, .15, 12? I mean, it says additional requirements, but you guys haven't delineated which additional requirements for which drugs. Am I reading
Right.
this wrong?
No,
Okay.
we haven't, and then we haven't gotten any kind of proposal or
Okay.
idea of what additional requirements
Figure
yet.
out how to write it all together.
So that's how it's,
Okay.
so the additional requirements will have to be approved. I don't know that they'll have to be entered into rule, but we'd have to have some policy of what those requirements are currently, and then how we change them as innovations occur.
But isn't that right here, that they have to get a certain number of hours? Isn't that what the board is saying?
Right, but there is no, but, yeah, they have to get the 25 hours in IV instruction, but we have to have a coursework to approve before they can even get the hours. Unless they want to spend, a lot of money, and go ahead and take the course and then try to get that course approved, and if we don't approve it, then their hours are
See, we have
worthless.
that for continuing education, right? We don't, this is, the approval is for continuing education, not for,
I thought
so.
those 10 ones you added today, those are pre-approved advanced practice.
For their recertification, not for this.
Okay, as I read this from the medical board,
They can use it for these things. There are certainly some courses that would apply to autologous
you read
blood,
this from the medical board, this part 3,
and those things. So they can,
it says including blood products and joints. So the medical board is not, in their letter to us, did not approve blood products in joints. And that's one of their objections. So we're sitting here saying, okay, we're going to pull the blood out, we're going to spin it and put the plasma back into the joint.
That's correct.
And that's not.
Does it go in the joint, or does it go on the
putting blood into
tendon?
the joint.
Does it go on the tendon?
Yeah, right.
Doesn't go in the joint.
Where are we trying to irritate and scar down, that's where it's.
Okay, so it's not necessarily in the joint, it's in the tendon and the muscle tear.
Well, but they're saying, so they didn't approve anything, including the blood into the joints in their letter. We can just ignore what the medical board said.
Well, it's is autologous blood a prescription item?
Yeah, I mean, in addition, they said glutathione inhalation has just been disapproved.
Yeah, but I'm just reading this part of it.
Yeah, so I mean,
I think that you have several choices, and one would be to approve it as presented. It disappeared on me, but.
by the pharmacy board.
Well, as presented, number 15, as presented, does not have anything in parentheses. So one option is to approve it without any parentheses. The pharmacy board added a parentheses that with additional medical board approved education. So option number 2 would be approved 15 with that parentheses. The practical ramifications of that would be the medical board would have some role in approving the education training, and perhaps that would resolve their concern about blood products and joints. But another calculation is that I'm not sure how long the medical board will take to set up that process.
I mean, we're approving these, but does it go anywhere except have them on the record?
As far
Well,
as the ones that
To me,
require
if we
additional
approve
education.
it, our representatives sitting right here are given a directive. And we say to them, you come back to us with what they're saying. We keep negotiating till we get what we want or till there's some agreement. So I don't mind approving with that caveat. And I think that's what you're saying. We just want to make sure we're covering ourselves.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
It's part of our rule that we want consensus. We're not looking to just bolt out.
Correct.
Unless it's unreasonable, and then we let the courts decide. But I don't think we're unreasonable yet.
I don't think so
I'm
either.
not hearing that.
I do think we can pass this in more than one motion.
Yes,
Okay. Good. That would make it a little simpler anyway.
but your staff and I are going to be listening intently to if you add any parentheses to items 12 through 22.
Correct.
Right. And those actually, I was opining that perhaps that's a section, or at least 13 through 20, or 14 through 22, 15 through 22, whatever the numbers are there. That a separate motion be made approving those under the condition that the coursework be submitted for our approval, the medical board consensus. So we have it approved, but it's not in effect until those, until both boards have agreed on what training is required.
I agree, you're thinking the correct thoughts. I think the practitioners out there are going to want to know exact details of what the path is forward.
It's a long and windy road. Sounds like a Paul McCartney song. So we've changed C to 50 hours. And we've
Change B? The
changed
hours?
B to 25 hours.
25, okay.
Now, discussion on D, we've decided to strike EDTA, so is there a reason to?
Even discuss it, and just strike D completely.
Until EDTA can be agreed on by the tri-board, I think it needs to be struck. Okay, Amanda, strike D altogether?
Strike which ones?
D.
D? Okay.
Dr. Hesser, can you refresh my mind on the D6 magnesium? We struck that one or not? I can't. I have two markings here. Magnesium, is prescription medications for topical use. So magnesium for topical use is not an issue, right? We can already do that.
That's not an issue at all.
Okay.
Topical. That's all we need.
So essentially for substances approved or pending approval, magnesium under D6, making it prescription medications for topical use, lidocaine, vitamins, letters A, B, C, F, G, H, and L, and dextrose. Those for approval and inclusion into the formulary.
But aren't we taking out only,
Taking out which?
the word only?
Yes, taking out the word only.
If I could,
I'm sorry,
I'd like to go up this slide and just walk you through it, so everyone in the room knows what we're talking about. And then you can tell me if I'm right or wrong, because I don't have a vote, I'm not a policymaker, so I want to make sure that.
Okay.
So Cynthia, if you could raise up the screen. That's fine, yeah.
Okay, B is struck.
Okay, so the rationale is that this is
Already.
already in there.
Correct.
Okay, so it's probably duplicative to have this as well. The intent
They
was
were
just.
only lettering it because it's two things, not one.
And it's my understanding the board at this time is not going to add this on the rationale that the pharmacy board has not approved it at this time on grounds that it might be a so-called category B.
Correct.
Okay, then,
D2F indomethacin is struck.
okay. For the same reason, even though it's a prescription, not an injectable, it may be a B category. So that is not going to be added in, correct?
Correct.
Okay. This one, I believe, is going to stay, and I believe the rationale is because it's already up there.
Well,
One, and also because it's under the category of topical use, so it falls under, it doesn't.
No, that one is actually oral, I think. It's already in the formulary. The reason it's also numbered now as acyclobenzaprine is because now there's a B. Baclofen, go to the next page. There. Baclofen is now struck.
Okay.
So cyclobenzaprine is a moot.
So that falls into A.
It's already in the.
So A and B are out. Is this listed?
Well, cyclobenzaprine's already there. It was only added as a lettered number
Okay.
because there was two,
Okay.
not one.
All right, so it's already one thing we already do.
Already do that.
But B's not.
B's up. Baclofen is not there.
So, but is 3A,
It's the same thing as
But
with
it's
the
already
topical.
listed.
It's already listed. It's already a prescription.
oh, I see, it's
Yeah.
after the semicolon. Okay. So then we get to this item here, which my notes show that you have
GABA is struck.
struck under the rationale that the pharmacy board thinks that's a B. Okay. Item number 6, minerals.
Magnesium
Magnesium.
for topical use is
Keeping that.
Keeping that under the rationale that that is an A. Okay.
Topical use.
Yeah.
And your justification is how you read the statute, right? Okay, then scrolling down here, now we're into injections. And my notes show that 8A is new, but I haven't heard any objection to it.
correct.
And the rationale I heard in the rulemaking is that it's related to propane, which is statutory listed in A, except it's out here. The next one here is
Bupivacaine is struck.
struck on the rationale that the pharmacy board believes it's a B.
Yes.
A 10 vitamins remains because the rationale is it's an A, but in an effort to resolve certain matters, certain ones will have parentheses on them and certain ones will be struck.
Yes. Amanda, you ready?
Okay.
All right.
Okay, aqueous vitamin A will be intramuscular injection.
Should we say
I-
administration? It's less, it's the word injection.
Say I am.
Yeah.
IM.
So if I put IM in parentheses, that'll cover it?
Trigger
Yes.
words.
All right.
They gotta look for those.
Ascorbic acid vitamin C is sub-Q or IM.
Sub-Q. What is sub-Q?
Subcutaneous. But it's just abbreviated sub-Q. Cyanocobalamin, B12, is also sub-Q IM.
Got it.
D3 is struck.
Okay, they'll have to be relettered.
Hexapenthenol is vitamin B5 is struck. Folic acid, sub-Q and IM.
Okay.
Hydroxycobalamin, vitamin B12 is IM. Methylcobalamin, B12 is IM. Niacin is struck. Rhodopsin is struck. Riboflavin is struck. Thiamine, vitamin B1 is IM.
Vitamin, right?
Thiamine. EDTA is struck. Dextrose with additional board-approved education is retained.
And just to be clear, when it uses board, That's just you?
Yes.
Or your call?
Should we write chiropractic?
Yes,
board?
yes.
Minerals are struck. Phenol is struck.
No. You know, it's our one approval.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah. Phenol is with
Chiro.
Chiro Board for Education. Autologous blood, autologous, is with Medical Board approved education. Collagenase with Medical Board approved education. Glucosamine,
Okay.
sorry,
And while she's catching up, the medical board on glucosamine wrote in paragraph 3, has not been approved by the FDA for medical use in humans.
right, it's being used off-label by medical doctors. So, until we have a course that they will approve, it's still on the list, but it's ineligible for use until that qualification is met.
Okay, so that's how you address their concern. You do give them some,
Yeah, but unless they approve a course, and maybe next year, the FDA changes its mind.
okay. So we're up to 18, I think.
Glycerin, approved.
Approved.
Yeah, I don't have a notation of any additional
Here
courses.
they
It
are.
says with additional medical board approved education.
So glycerin with additional medical board approved.
19 is phenol again.
Phenol's already up.
It's already
That
up.
might just have to be struck as it's been.
Strike 19,
Strike
duplicate.
Platelet.
Platelet-rich
Hold on a
plasma.
second, let's make sure the staff is up to 19.
Thank you. Can I just catch up with you guys and make sure I'm on the right page? Okay. I have dextrose with additional chiropractic board approval. Phenol with additional chiropractic board approval. Blood with additional medical board approval.
It's approval for education though, not just
Approval for approved education.
Yeah.
Okay. I have 16, 17, and 18. All, and 20. I have is with additional, no, I'm sorry, not 20. 18 additional medical board approved education. That's where we are.
Right, right. And then, so it struck 19 as a duplicate. 20 plasma-rich protein with the additional chiropractic board approval, or board educational approval.
That's a chiropractic board there.
Yeah. And the 2 sodiums with additional medical board approved education.
And then G,
It's already in our
It's
formula.
already in the formulary, so that's no change. Glutathione for inhalation, it's already in the formulary.
And we struck that.
which one?
No,
No, it's already in.
Strike it. It's already in there.
It's already happened, it's
We already have it.
So, I would like to first accept a motion to approve.
Well, do we have that changes in the hours as the staff?
I'm not even to that part.
You're not gonna do that?
I'm gonna do this at least two motions. First, an approval of the substances, the methods of delivery as amended for sections
Do you want to see my stuff?
16, 4, 15, 11, A through G.
So moved.
That's all the substances we just talked about, we've just eliminated, scratched, added board approval education on. That's the first motion I'd like to entertain, and allowing, of course, the staff to renumber and correct spelling and grammar.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Hesser, seconded by Ms. Carter. Discussion. Talked each one through. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I abstain.
There's two of us. I have to recuse.
Do it.
I don't get the vote unless it's a tie. So three to approve, one abstain. Yeah, let's go back over the 16.4.5.12, the formulary additional educational requirements. Are we all comfortable with A, B, and C as we discussed them?
The method of which these courses are approved, is it we get a letter from the medical board, or how are we getting the approved courses? Because that's the questions we're going to get here in the office.
I don't know that that has to be in rule. I think as policy, the formulary committee would have to submit the proposed coursework to the medical board for board approval, and at a meeting. Now we've changed the hours of ID administration in an approved course to 25, and PRP to 50 hours, prolotherapy 50 hours. Any other comments on 16.4.15.12 A, B, and C? And I will entertain a motion to approve 16.4.15.12 chiropractic formulary additional educational requirements as amended, with allowing the staff to correct for grammar and spelling.
So moved.
Second.
Dr. Hesser moves, Ms. Carter seconds. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And opposed? Okay, that passes. Okay.